it on! Leave it on! America! See the music you want to see!
I want.
Most of the nostalgia from the supposed glory days of MTV hails from the 80s heyday of music videos and the early 90s take on alternative animation, among other notable landmarks. And being a child of the 90s, I definitely share the love. However, if I'm being honest, while my siblings were glued to the screen with the likes of Nirvana and Green Apple Quickstep or whatever, I would have much rather been watching Nickelodeon, as my personal connection with MTV wouldn't settle in until the late 90s. A strange period for the company, as while they still showed music videos, they were also veering towards more original programming and live action and some very underrated animated series. Now I plan on touching on some of these more obscure shows, but aside from all that, another thing that MTV took on in the late 90s were original films. All starting with the iconic Joe's Apartment.
There won't be any rock and roll tonight! This is all that's left!
The films would prove to be pretty successful, as Joe's Apartment was a hit, on video at least. And then with the release of Do America, well, MTV Films was on top. And now the company would release 7 films in the 90s, some of them well received, some straight up classics, and some absolute duds. And one in particular, I've always felt was highly underrated, and the best of the bunch. Hear me out.
We've got 2 weeks to move him in here and push him over the edge. This guy, he is hit, man.
Pamphlets say it's crucial to keep all instruments of self-destruction away from the suicidal person. Hey, Buckley.
Ah, what's with the knife?
You must be our new roommate.
That's right, if I'm still around.
Hey!
Ah!
This guy's psychotic.
Dead Man on Campus was released in 1998, just as the college season was starting, in order to try to bank off that audience, of course. Which is also why I'm guessing the film had its release date moved over a year, never a mark of quality. And when you get down to it, Dead Man on Campus really had all of the odds stacked against it. First off, it attempted to reintroduce Mark Paul Gosselaar and break the squeaky clean Zach Morris image by casting him as a slacker stoner type with jet black hair. I remember seeing this for the first time and really being thrown through a loop by his hair. At the time, Gosselaar was attempting a few of these darker roles in other films too, but they were mostly made for TV.
You have to keep a B+ average to keep your scholarship.
If your roommate
Died as a result of his own willful act.
you get straight A's.
I'm not gonna kill myself, in case that's what you're wondering.
Mr. Z is the guy who's gonna kill himself whether he lives with us or not. Might as well live with us so his death won't be in vain.
Also, Dead Man on Campus's dark subject matter was a risk for mainstream comedy at the time, directly dealing with things like narcissism and suicide and drug abuse. I mean, the list really does go on here, all of which caused the film to have an R rating, being MTV Films' first feature to take on the R, which definitely hindered its target audience, I guess, although it didn't seem to deter numbers from their next feature, which was also rated R. But either way, the film was a critical and commercial flop upon its release, and proved to be Mark Paul's only real starring role in a major motion picture. Well, co-starring, whatever.
I'm doing this for you! No, Josh, no!
But that doesn't mean much. I mean, Mark Paul is very memorable in this flick, and is really the reason I rewatch it at least once a year. It's so much fun to watch Zach Morris take some bong rips, I mean, shit. And his character's moral compass is thrown off as we learn more about his privileged silver spoon upbringing. And by the end of the movie, I mean, we really learn how distasteful he is, and, you really need that character in a black comedy. And of course, we get the perfect straight man here, Tom Everett Scott, who was still in the early stages of his career, having already shined bright in That Thing You Do, and even made An American Werewolf in Paris kinda watchable, and really, he would escape this one unfazed career-wise.
We'll just hitchhike our way back to campus. Well, Josh, stick out your thumb or they won't see you.
And we have to mention the supporting cast here, which kind of reunites some TV faves, before they were TV faves, if that makes any sense. We get Linda Cardellini and Jason Segel, who would go on to star in the wrongfully canceled Freaks and Geeks about a year later. Also, Allison Hannigan pops up, who also starred alongside Jason Segel in a TV show, I hear. And Lachlan Monroe appears in what may be his defining performance, as he's the psychopathic Cliff. And, you know, this all still holds up.
That one's not beer.
Dead Man on Campus perfectly blends the college comedy and black comedy genres, something that may have been ahead of its time, to be honest. The film's plot being about a promising student falling off the track and in desperation attempts to take advantage of a loophole where if your roommate kills themselves, you get a free pass. A strange premise that actually has some factual elements behind it. I was surprised to find that out. What the hell? And oddly enough, this wasn't the only film to come out at the time dealing with the same kind of ideas, as a more by-the-numbers teen thriller was produced called Dead Man's Curve on TV edits, and The Curve on video. Now, I remember the USA Network showing it all the time, and it being in video stores after that with a slightly different cut and new title. But, you know, to be honest, aside from Matthew Lillard, this one's pretty forgettable. I don't know, let me know if you want to hear about that one down in the comments. Let me know what's up.
This last one is called Sperm.
The set 'em up, knock 'em down style of Dead Man on Campus really makes it a fun watch, as there's always something happening. And the MTV attitude really isn't forced here. I mean, it all kind of seems organic, due in no small part to its star-studded MTV soundtrack. With the likes of Marilyn Manson, Goldfinger, Blur, Power Man 5000. Yeah, it was very much of its time. Luckily for all of us, though, the film had a second life on video and proved to be a popular rental amongst college kids all around.
What time is it?
7:15. So early.
At night. I love college. Oh, shake it off.
And remains a legit cult classic, although I still think it's highly underrated. I mean, there are some real laughs here.
Which one of these chicks is for me? Oh, I don't know, Cliff. Actually, I think they're all lesbians. Lesbians? Huh. You guys are fucking cool, man. Hey, Lesbos, how's it hanging?
And the chemistry between Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tom Everett Scott is very intact, to say the least. I mean, their relationship seems genuine, and the stakes seem real. I mean, and when you're engaged with a character like you're supposed to, I mean, it all kind of works. All traits usually lost in college comedies, especially around these days. And there's not much style here, I guess, probably due to the director Alan Kahn, who is basically a TV director. But again, what it lacks in style, it makes up with in class.
I just thought you and I were tight back there. Just don't ever pull out of me again.
I pulled out because I don't think you know what you're doing. I'm taking over from here.
Oh, you know, Josh, you were so anal.
Dead Man on Campus definitely is one of the best MTV films of all time. I highly recommend Dead Man on Campus for any fan of late 90s Tom Everett Scott goodness, as it has proven to be among the best cult classic college MTV produced comedies to feature both Marilyn Manson and Creed on the soundtrack. Before I forget, a special thanks to Mark Paul Gosselaar himself for endorsing Staunch TV with this sweet-ass Dead Man on Campus screenshot. That's why you, sir, are number one. Keep up with Mark Paul Gosselaar's other college exploits in Zach Morris's Still Trash, only on Staunch TV. Let me know some of your favorite underrated classics. Which one was your favorite MTV produced film back in the day? Let me know. And please subscribe and hit that notification bell and consider joining our Patreon. We are just having the greatest time over there.
Excuse me, sir. We were just wondering if you could inform us how...
Hey, do I smell a pig?
Dude, what are you doing?
Hey, pigs! Hey, hey, little piggies!
What are you crazy? He's just a little bit...